In a day and age where AAA $60 to $120 video games are adopting free-to-play business models as get-rich-quick schemes, I sat here thinking, I wonder what the free-to-play scene must be like. I did a bit of researching and found that apparently free-to-play shooters are still around and in some instances have strong followings. I've spent the last 2 weeks committing myself to quite a few free-to-play games, and I want to share the amazing and trashy things that I found. Warface was a game developed by Crytek Kiev with the sole purpose of being a Chinese exclusive free-to-play title, which isn't out of the ordinary for a lot of mainline publishers. Games such as Call of Duty have their own Chinese exclusive releases that are free-to-play and brimming with microtransactions, loot boxes, and in-game currencies due to how large the PC audience is in China. China is often seen as the most profitable country in the gaming world due to, until 2015, a nationwide ban on consoles, which meant gamers got their fix on PCs and internet cafes, which also meant that they were going to be playing a lot of free-to-play games. Well, this may have been the origins of Warface. For some reason in 2012, Crytek announced that their formerly China-exclusive shooter would actually be hitting the rest of the world. The game was announced to be supported in multiple countries, and they even had a port being done for the Xbox 360. Now, while the Xbox 360 version of the game didn't survive and eventually had its servers shut down due to low player population, the PC version is still kicking to this day and has actually seen some growth lately due to Crytek paying users in cryptocurrency to play the game, and even they got into headlines recently with their Battle Royale mode that they were introducing. But how is the game though? Warface is a tactical team-based shooter that revolves around Battlefield-style classes. One class is dedicated to healing, one class is dedicated to sniping, restoring ammo, etc., etc. On initially playing the game, I was very put off by the somewhat low field of view coupled with the awkward and stiff movement that kind of reminds me of the mediocre Killzone series. In fact, there's a lot about this game that is sadly Killzone-esque. Spawn points are fixed to bases, so you often find that in matches all you need to do is hang outside of the enemy spawn point and just mow them down as they leave their base. It feels really awkward and leaves the matches feeling very predictable. Maps are designed like hallways. From the moment you spawn, you just run in a linear line to the other end of the hallway and just begin farming kills at the enemy base. Unless this happens to you, in which case you need to break out of this spawn trap. The game does have a few interesting ideas, and again, like Killzone, not many of them are well executed. There's this buddy vaulting system that has you going up to a wall so another player can run up to you, get a boost to a higher ledge, and as a reward for helping that person on your team, you're always hoisted up by that very teammate. While it's an interesting idea, I find that it doesn't play well in the actual matches because chances are the only other players that want to be on the high ledges are snipers so that they can cover certain lanes. It isn't smart though to have too many snipers clumped up on one vantage point, so chances are they're going to be scattered about. And bringing it back to this vaulting mechanic, because snipers need to be scattered about, that means that these ledges will always have just one sniper waiting to be hoisted up when you're running around as a medic with a shotgun. Elevation doesn't help you in this instance, so you hoist that sniper up, have him then hoist you up, only so you can hop back down and play the game on the ground as you should be playing with that class. Oh, can I also bring up the medic quickly? This game doesn't have regenerating health, which means the medic needs to heal you. But the game has medic classes using shotguns, which nobody wants to use, so you always, never see medics in-game. Why not give medics submachine guns and give the engineer class, who gives armor to his friends, the shotgun? It would make more sense, seeing as the engineer class who gives armor will be running around a lot, making use of that armor. One mechanic I actually do enjoy in this game, and I do actually think kind of brings a sense of originality to the combat loop, is the sliding mechanic. Sliding in this game is more creative than in most other shooters, where it just feels like the sole reason it exists is because some nearby popular shooter did it and we need to copy the popular shooter. Sliding in this game sends you far, and sends you on a linear path forward. Due to the clunky movement and low field of view, it's harder to sprint around a corner while checking your surroundings and suddenly have to raise your weapon and kill a guy you didn't notice out of the corner of your eye. With sliding, you can essentially commit your soldier to moving forward in a linear line without your input, which frees you up to check your corners and windows as you are sliding into the room. It's a cool and surprisingly well-executed mechanic. Another thing I need to commend is the sound design in this game, which is quite excellent. I don't just mean the gunfire and stuff, which does sound nice. I mean getting feedback on kills and hits, the beeps and jingles, and just the little sounds that play into that primal aspect of your brain that just enjoys things that sound good. It's so satisfying, and it makes getting kills pretty fun in this game. Will I keep playing Warface? Honestly, probably not, due to the lack of a field of view slider, which is in my opinion mandatory for PC shooters, just so you don't need to get motion sick while you're playing the game. I can, however, certainly see the appeal, and if you can ignore the annoying need to repair weapons and pay for repairing the weapons, and usual free-to-play BS in the game, go for it. Oh, on a side note, for some reason, the Christmas event is still going on in-game. The community is actually also very confused about why they haven't disabled it, and the menu music is beyond annoying for it. Crytek, it's not Christmas anymore. Move on. Iron Sight is a free-to-play recreation of Black Ops 2 with a little Modern Warfare 2 peppered in. Almost every single gameplay, artistic, and sound design aspect of this game is a deliberate attempt to recreate Call of Duties of past. Most modern Call of Duties aren't very good, and when they aren't ripping off Titanfall or current team-based games, they're desperately floundering in half-baked ideas and providing mediocre experiences that other games are providing far better versions of. Iron Sight's publisher is Area, which is also part of Gamago AG, and a quick look at their catalog reveals that this is a studio like Gameloft. Basically, they take popular games, remake them as free-to-play games, and give it a new coat of paint as to not infringe on the copyright. What's the most surprising thing about this game is that it's not actually bad at all. At its core, this game, which aims to mimic Call of Duty with the clearest inspiration being Black Ops 2, it's created a perfect recreation of the pre-Ghost design formula that a lot of Call of Duty fans have been demanding from the new releases. The game has kill streaks, loadouts, similar UI layouts, etc., etc. Almost everything. It nails that old Call of Duty feel so perfectly, and it's weird to see what should be a shameless cash-in actually transcend from that and do the formula it's ripping off better than the actual game. The worst part about this game is that if they stripped out a lot of the free-to-play elements and released this as a AAA game with even a console port thrown in, it would probably do really well. Because there's already an audience of late Xbox 360 era Call of Duty fans who wish that the series would design itself more like this. I shouldn't like this game considering the reasons for it existing are very transparent, but kudos to the developers. They really tried to copy those Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 2 style Call of Duty games, and in doing so, they accidentally created a really, really fun game. I shouldn't like it, but I do. Hilariously called Metro Conflict: The Origin, which sounds like a random word generator created it, is a free-to-play hero shooter that I had a ridiculous amount of fun with, for reasons that are intentional and I'm sure very unintentional on the part of the developers and the translators. This game is adorable. It has a couple of training missions that don't train you well because they go out of their way to mimic the Call of Duty campaigns for some reason, but as designed by Korean developers.
HQ, this is Iceman. We have entered enemy airspace, over. Roger, 0348 on board, over. Ground forces en route. Mission objective, recover the suit. Current location, Sector 9 or Hotel 65 Julie.
Random military jargon that isn't actually accurate? Check. Helicopter gun sequence? Check. Nameless goons to kill in the hundreds as teammates compliment you with good kill, check. And then after the helicopter sequence, you're thrown into some hilariously sexist and transparent fan service.
Oh, you're finally here. How are you feeling? Is there anything uncomfortable or feeling strange? You look a little spaced out. Are you all right? Hey, are you okay? Snap out of it. We're at the last stage of testing the new suit, so please just hang in there.
I actually really appreciate the audacity and just honesty at display here. The developers know what they're doing. Miss Subtle here delivers you to discount Captain Price with an advanced warfare exosuit who recreates his favorite part from Call of Duty 4, which is the training sequence in the warehouse.
So, did you enjoy that? Looks like you were having a bit of fun in there. Your scores weren't bad either. Alright, let's get going. You better get upstairs.
After this, you go to a room where someone mentions you will help them slaughter your enemies, which had me laughing really hard. The world building is embarrassing, and once you jump into the actual game after the training mode, you sort of see why. The training sequence is nothing like the actual game, because the actual game is not Call of Duty, it's a hero shooter. No sprint outside of one character's special ability. No aiming down the sights unless on scoped weapons, health and ammo pickups, gravity lifts, etc, etc. It's like a weird hero/arena shooter with a pinch of poor translation.
The marker obtained. Activate. The marker obtained by an enemy. Prevent.
I actually wonder if this game runs on the Source engine because of abilities like throwing your weapons onto the ground, the general Counter-Strike feel of the weapons and the physics in the game, etc. There are a lot of subtle things that actually do make me wonder if this is a Source engine game. Though it is a lot of fun at points, and really annoying at others. The heroes don't work very well, and there's a clear lack of balancing. Some weapons and heroes are just flat out worthless when compared to others, and that's something that you learn fast. Currently, the game is dominated by two characters, a Heavy from Team Fortress 2 knockoff, and this Soldier 76 from Overwatch knockoff. The reasons for these two dominating is because the game has a fast time to kill, which means that characters that don't deal a lot of damage, they die very quickly and they're quite useless outside of a few very specific scenarios. If I can give any advice, this game would do better if everybody across the board had more health. It would allow for more interesting situations where teammates could play off of each other. Is this Overwatch? No, but it's certainly a fun ride. And man, is it full of fan service. Speaking of poor translations, Survarium is a very poor shooter developed by some Russian studio. The visuals are muddy, texture quality is mediocre, optimization is bad, but the concept is unique. Yeah, similar to Call of Duty, it has loadouts, very similar map design, and combat flows are generally similar, but it's post-apocalyptic. From the second the game starts, what appears to be a Russian voice actor doing his best American accent or an American doing a very lazy Russian accent walks you through a combat tutorial which is very poorly translated.
Stop and listen to me. There's anomalous forest around here. If you are stupid enough to go in, it will instantly turn you into a rotting corpse. There's a narrow strip ahead. Look closely for a place without trees. Move your ass fast enough, and you just might have a chance to slip through to the other side. Be sure not to be flattened in an anomaly, or get eaten by a local Pinocchio. Ha ha!
Essentially, the game's gimmicks are these artifacts and anomalies, which I've actually heard before in translated Russian post-apocalyptic literature and media, so I assume maybe artifact and anomaly is a common mistranslation from Russia. The game doesn't do a good job of telling you why you need to collect these artifacts or destroy these anomalies as you're shooting at bad guys, but I assume it's similar to arena shooter pickups. Ultimately, I couldn't play the game very long, though, due to the low player populations, which meant that every server was populated by brain-dead AI to fill the void, which kind of disrupted the flow of combat, sprinkled in with the occasional actual player who was obviously doing better, and just ultimately nothing was flowing well, and just overall, pass. It's bad. Modern Combat Versus is the evil twin of Iron Sight, where one is a fantastic recreation of the combat loop from Call of Duties of old. Modern Combat Versus is a shallow Black Ops 3 clone, which is itself a shallow Titanfall clone. The Modern Combat series is a franchise of mobile games that Gameloft smartly used as a way to recreate the success of Call of Duty, but for mobile devices. Essentially, they beat Call of Duty mobile devices as the most popular shooter there. The name Modern Combat was deliberately used as to sound similar to Modern Warfare, which was popular when the Modern Combat series first started. Each release makes sure to carefully mimic whatever the current Call of Duty game is, and judging by Modern Combat Versus, it ironically ripped off the rip-off of the game created by the original creators of Call of Duty 4. My head hurts. Modern Combat Versus is a mobile port of a game that is designed to be Call of Duty in both visual and design principles. And what do I mean by design principles? I mean it is the most simplified shooting experience on the phone, which is already a very simple shooting experience. Because of this, it has very little in regards to player input. No grenades, no jumping, no leaning, no picking up guns, no meleeing, nothing. All you can do is sprint, aim down the sights, fire, and use a special ability, because it also copied Black Ops 3's supers, which copied Destiny's supers. From what I understand, it has crossplay with phone users, which I guess means it has the potential to have a large player base, even if a certain amount of players on your team will noticeably be using a phone as their controller input. But overall, it's shallow, bland, and has literally nothing going for it in regards to skill or critical thought. Auto-aim makes aiming yourself pointless, and all you need to do is center the screen and push the button until the bad guy is gone, and then you can stop pushing the button. It's lazy, slimy, cynical, and a waste of my time and your time. Next. This is probably going to surprise some people on my channel, but yes, we are talking about Halo 5 Forge Edition, which is a free-to-play shooter that's chained to the Windows Store. Basically, this means it has a total of less than 20 players per day. The game has no progression system, no customization system, no ranking or anything, because essentially it acts as a vertical slice of Halo 5's console version for some reason. Essentially, you get access to the server browser, where you can join other matches that people have going on. You can create your own matches for the server browser via the custom games options, or you can jump into the excellent Forge mode that lets you create your own maps to play online with other people. The negatives, however, are the ridiculously bad optimization, lag due to how few players there are, and half-assed port job on the controls. The game's keyboard and mouse support doesn't seem to be properly supported, and it actually feels as if it's actually emulating controller inputs. This means that aiming with your mouse doesn't feel right in this game. It feels as though you have permanent mouse acceleration and mouse smoothing on, with no way to disable it. And this makes online play infuriating unless you are using a controller when coupled with the lag. It also doesn't have field of view options, but thankfully the community went ahead and did 343's job for them. So via the Exuberant tool that you can download from a YouTuber named GameCheat's channel, you can edit your field of view and also bump the frame rate past 60 frames per second if you so desire. If I sound frustrated as I'm talking about this game, it's because I am. This port is a sloppy mess, and the lack of attention it's gotten in the 2 years since it's been available is infuriating. It's a shame because this port is comprised of the best parts of Halo 5, so any PC fan who wants to play Halo will have to deal with a very bad port job and ultimately have his first impressions of the series soured. Good first impressions, guys. The final free-to-play shooter we have here is Heroes and Generals. This game is so close to a game that I would actually play a lot in my free time. It's got bullet drop, complex weapon modding to help with bullet velocity, and various adjustments to your weapon sights and handling to help shooting at various ranges. It has vehicle combat, large-scale battles with lots of players, and an interesting hero system where essentially you create a hero soldier for each faction in the war in-game with his own loadout for that faction, which means you won't see German forces using M1 Garands and vice versa. It took me a while to actually find a match in the game due to a bizarre system where this game, with a low player count, doesn't allow new players to the game to play with its existing fanbase until a certain level. Yeah, that's not how you grow a player base. That means that new players just can't play the game. Eventually, I'm not sure how I did this, but I did find a match, and due to the cluelessness of the soldiers running around, I suspect it was bots. The scale of the battle was actually quite awesome though, and it surprised me, considering that this was a free-to-play game. The combat was clunky and awkward, and not in a bad way by any stretch of the imagination, in a good way. These felt like large and heavy rifles with complex firing mechanisms designed to propel pieces of metal at a fast speed. These felt real. The movement and weight of everything felt just right, and I really enjoyed the unwieldy panic of the combat in this game. I sadly couldn't find another match after that. I sometimes think back to Heroes and Generals now and then, wondering how fun it was, and how fun it could be if only I could find a match. Wondering if the free-to-play elements would ruin what seemed like a solid World War II shooter in that one match that I played. Oh well, sadly the menu is very disorganized and I can't exactly figure out how to redo that bot match that I did. Maybe an actual player of the game could teach me in the comments section. In my experiences playing these free-to-play shooters, Warface and Iron Sight were the most fun, and games that I could actually see myself playing long-term in the future. The fact Warface has a loyal fan base in the thousands on Steam means that Crytek must be doing something right, and Iron Sight's satisfying gameplay that old Call of Duty game used to have certainly acted as a, "Oh, I forgot Call of Duty used to be a lot of fun" reminder. The rest, however, had quite a few too many issues for me to actually properly enjoy them, though Metro Conflict: The Origins was quite fun to mess around with. Most modern shooters basically have the same bullshit money-grabbing schemes I saw in a lot of these free-to-play shooters, so it was nice to see that there are a lot of quality free-to-play shooters out there that do match a lot of AAA games. and they're free. I may do another run-through of free-to-play shooters in the future if you guys want to suggest some in the comments. And I would actually love to hear actual long-time players of some of these games listed in my comments. It's easy for me to declare my official opinion, which is informed by only a few hours of play. Well, an actual veteran may have a very different opinion from his hours and hours and weeks of play. So I would love to hear the feedback. Ultimately, though, I hope that you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Remember to like, subscribe if you enjoyed, share this around if you want to. Goodbye.